Welcome to today's deep dive. If you're looking at your portfolio right now, or even just scrolling through your timeline, you've probably noticed something.
Yeah, the digital financial landscape is getting incredibly weird.
So weird. Like you have these multi-million-dollar economies just popping up overnight.
Right, and they aren't backed by traditional corporate structures at all.
Exactly. And today we are looking at a really fascinating blog post from a platform called Normie Crypto.
Hmm.
The piece we are examining is titled "The Power of Saiyan Spirit: Why Early Adoption Drives the Goku Solana Token."
And our mission for this deep dive is to, well, fundamentally understand how the modern meme coin ecosystem actually operates.
Yeah.
For you, the listener, the goal is to see past the noise. Because if you try to analyze these new token projects using traditional business metrics,
Right, or by like scanning dense technical white papers for utilities.
exactly. If you do that, you will be completely lost.
Yeah.
The real mechanics, and honestly the real risks, lie in how these projects engineer what the source calls cultural infrastructure.
Cultural infrastructure. I love that term.
It's essentially leveraging your childhood nostalgia
Yeah.
combined with highly coordinated social psychology to just build massive financial momentum out of thin air.
Right. And I mean, it's worth noting right up front, this specific Goku coin we're talking about, it's actually known as a Pablo legendary creation in this space.
Oh, absolutely. It has a massive reputation because of that.
Yeah. And what's wild is that even though it has lost a lot of value recently, it is still seen as a very enticing coin to own, especially for normies.
It really is. People are still drawn to it.
Okay, let's unpack this, because the specific mechanics of how this Goku token launched and why people still want it are incredibly revealing.
Right.
Because before a token can successfully weaponize a famous character's storyline, it needs a structural foundation to survive the crypto market, right?
Yes, it absolutely have to.
Think about how we build things in the physical world. If you're building a skyscraper, the entire process is front-loaded with structural engineering. You dig deep into the bedrock, pour massive amounts of concrete, and, establish a heavy steel skeleton long before you even consider the color of the lobby curtains.
Right.
But in the low-cap token space, developers are trying to build that skyscraper on a digital frontier that is just constantly shifting.
And that environment is utterly unforgiving. I mean, in traditional equity markets, a 10% drop over a week,
That's a bad week.
yeah, that might trigger a broader panic or a whole news cycle. But in the decentralized token space, particularly on high-speed networks like Solana,
Where transaction friction is practically zero.
exactly, on there, an asset can shed 80% of its value in a matter of minutes simply because a localized group of traders got spooked.
Wow, 80%.
Just like that. And that extreme volatility is exactly why the Normie Crypto post spends so much time focusing on the underlying math of the token supply.
Right, way before it talks about the branding or the Goku stuff.
Exactly. They outline a highly specific mathematical recruitment goal to prevent an early collapse.
Yeah, the post mentions the project is actively aiming to secure exactly 20 key holders right out of the gate, with each of those individuals acquiring between 1 and 2% of the total token supply.
Right.
That means they want a very small, coordinated group controlling up to 40% of the entire project before the broader public even gets heavily involved.
Yes.
Why is that specific concentration of supply so critical to a new launch? Like, why 20 people?
Well, it comes down to a concept the post refers to as market stabilization,
Okay.
which is essentially a defense mechanism against the unique vulnerabilities of decentralized exchanges.
Right.
When a new token launches, its market capitalization is typically very low. But more importantly, the liquidity pool.
And a liquidity pool is what exactly?
It's the actual ratio of dollars to tokens sitting in the smart contract that facilitates the trades. That pool is incredibly shallow early on.
Got it.
Think of a small town bank. If the vault only has, say, a few $1,000s in cash, and one business owner comes in to withdraw their entire account.
Oh, the bank is instantly insolvent.
Exactly. In a low liquidity token market, if a regular retail investor decides to sell off just a few $100s worth of tokens, the automated market maker has to drastically reprice the asset downwards just to balance the pool.
And that one small sale creates a massive red candle on the public price chart.
Yeah.
Other traders see that massive drop, assume the project is dying, and they just rush to sell their tokens too.
Right. It's a localized bank run.
That's terrifying.
And that cascade is known as a liquidity trap. The price completely collapses to zero. Not because the project had a fundamental technological failure, but simply because of a minor ripple in a dangerously tiny liquidity pond.
Wow.
So by recruiting those 20 massive holders, the whales,
That's right.
and getting them to lock up 40% of the supply, the developers are basically attempting to freeze a huge portion of that pond.
Ah, I see.
If those 20 people commit to never hitting the sell button during those early turbulent days, they create a synthetic price floor.
Okay, so it's an artificial floor.
Yeah. They absorb the shock of those initial, inevitable retail sell-offs without triggering a chart collapse.
It's like trying to build a massive party tent in the middle of a hurricane.
That's a great way to look at it.
You absolutely need 20 incredibly heavy sandbags pinned to the corners of that tent before you do anything else.
Yes.
If you just open the flaps and invite a bunch of small guests inside without securing the structure first, the whole thing blows away at the very first gust of wind.
Totally.
Those 20 holders are the sandbags.
What's fascinating here is the psychology of social proof that this structural engineering creates.
Oh, right. Because everyone can see it.
Exactly. The blockchain is entirely transparent, right?
Well,
anyone can look up the holder distribution.
Right.
So by locking up the supply and refusing to sell, these whales are creating a behavioral signal.
Okay.
The source text actually compares this to the literal powering up of Goku himself.
Oh, man. That's good.
Right. In the show, the character powers up by gathering ambient energy over a long period. In the crypto market, the token powers up through induced visible scarcity.
So when potential retail buyers check the Block Explorer and see that the top 20 wallets are holding strong, even when the market dips, it signals immense confidence.
Exactly. It acts as a psychological buffer against the fear of a rug pull.
Yeah.
It gives new buyers the courage to actually enter the market.
And those sandbags aren't just dead weight either. The source points out that these 20 holders serve a secondary, hyperactive purpose.
Oh, yeah.
Because they own such a massive percentage of the project, they are highly financially incentivized to be the loudest cheerleaders in the room.
Yep, they operate as a force multiplier team.
Right. They are the ones organizing the social media raids, generating the viral memes, and manufacturing the coordinated hype that actually dictates the price action.
They are essentially the unpaid, decentralized marketing department.
Unpaid, but highly invested.
Exactly. The synthetic floor keeps the building from collapsing, but the force multipliers are the ones who actually build the skyscraper upward.
But 20 wealthy traders quietly holding a digital asset doesn't inherently create external buying pressure.
No, it doesn't.
A structural foundation doesn't make the broader public care about your project. To get regular people to buy the remaining 60% of the supply, you need to manufacture deep, emotional resonance.
You need to do it overnight.
Right. Which brings us to the cultural infrastructure. The project developers aren't trying to invent a new mascot from scratch.
No.
Nor are they trying to write a compelling new story to win people over. They are simply adopting Goku.
The main protagonist of the multi-generational Dragon Ball series.
Yeah. And the Normie Crypto blog post actually dedicates a surprising amount of text to summarizing his backstory.
Which is something you rarely see on a financial blog.
It goes into serious detail. It talks about how he was born Kakarot, sent to Earth as a hostile infant, and how a traumatic childhood head injury wiped his memory. It explains how that accident transformed him from a naturally destructive, violent Saiyan into one of Earth's greatest defenders.
And the author makes a very specific narrative choice by focusing on that origin.
Okay.
The source frames Goku as a universal archetype. He isn't just a recognizable cartoon face.
Yeah.
His entire identity is fundamentally built around relentless improvement, constantly training through immense pain, and fighting against statistically impossible odds to achieve a higher state of being.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though, because I have to push back on the premise the blog is selling here.
Okay, let's hear it.
The post talks about translating this rich heritage into the digital landscape of the Solana blockchain, right?
Yeah.
Framing it as a cultural bridge, where buying the token is akin to participating in the expansion of a hero's legacy.
Right.
But isn't this essentially just hijacking a beloved, established intellectual property? Building a brand from scratch, creating trust, recognition, emotional loyalty.
Takes decades.
Decades. And millions of dollars. They are skipping all of that hard work, slapping a famous face on a highly speculative, risky financial asset, and using that unearned nostalgia to artificially fast-track trust.
It's a fair point.
Are they really building a community, or are they just exploiting a generational fondness for an anime character to generate exit liquidity for those 20 whales?
Well, that tension is arguably the defining characteristic of the entire meme token industry.
Yeah.
The line between building a genuine digital community and cynically hijacking an IP is incredibly blurred.
Very blurred.
The source argues that in the current hyper-fragmented digital landscape, establishing a character with deep pre-existing roots provides a foundational narrative that new tokens simply cannot rival.
Because you can't code emotional resonance into a smart contract.
Exactly. You can't program nostalgia. It takes 20 years of Saturday morning cartoons to build the kind of trust Goku has.
Precisely why they use him.
Right. When investors buy into this token, that shared emotional connection to the character serves as the glue. The project goes out of its way to frame its community channels as a training ground.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, drawing a direct parallel to Goku's journey of gathering allies to protect his world.
That's clever.
The buyers are no longer just isolated traders staring at stressful red and green candles on a price chart.
They are participating in a massive, interactive digital fandom.
Exactly. The core values of the character, resilience, growth, fighting through the pain, they become the required values of the investor.
It completely reframes the financial reality of losing money.
It really does.
If the price of the token drops 50%, you aren't an uneducated trader holding a depreciating asset.
No.
You are Goku taking a brutal beating from Frieza.
Exactly. You are just absorbing the damage, waiting for your inevitable moment to go Super Saiyan and blast back to the top of the chart. It is a brilliant psychological reframing. It turns raw, terrifying financial volatility into a heroic narrative arc.
Wow.
The nostalgia provides a profound sense of community stability in a market that is, mathematically speaking, fundamentally chaotic.
So the architecture is clear. We have the math, the 20 sandbags securing the tent to the ground.
Yeah.
And we have the mythology, the multi-generational nostalgic lore drawing retail buyers into the tent.
Right.
But we need to take a step back and look at the messenger here.
Okay.
The environment where this token is being promoted, Normie Crypto, is a fascinating study in contradictions.
Oh, the platform's presentation of the Goku token reveals the intense balancing act required by modern crypto media.
Yeah.
On one side of the ledger, the blog post explicitly outlines the severe, undeniable risks involved in this ecosystem.
It does.
It plainly states that meme tokens are inherently speculative, that their market value is driven entirely by social sentiment rather than any tangible utility,
Right.
and that the risk of market manipulation is incredibly high.
It even calls out the specific vulnerability we discussed earlier. It warns readers that sudden catastrophic liquidation is a real possibility if those 20 large holders decide to break their unwritten social contract, change their minds, and dump their tokens on the open market.
The site is providing a very necessary, very robust legal and educational safety net.
Yeah.
If you look at their About section, they explicitly position themselves as an educational hub. Their stated mission is to translate complex blockchain mechanics into plain English for everyday people.
Hence the name Normies.
Exactly. They emphatically state that their content is strictly for educational and entertainment purposes, that it is absolutely not financial advice,
Right.
and they repeatedly urge readers to perform their own rigorous due diligence before deploying capital.
It reads like a very sober, responsible warning from a traditional financial advisor.
It does.
But then you look at the sidebar of the exact same webpage.
Right.
Right next to the stern warning about extreme volatility and the necessity of due diligence, they are running their merchandise shop.
Yep.
They were selling a tank top featuring a graphic of a crypto rocket ship, and in massive bold letters it says, "Always HODL and never panic." Right below that, they're selling an 11-ounce color-morphing coffee mug printed with the exact same slogan, "Never panic, always HODL."
If we connect this to the bigger picture, you are highlighting the core paradox that powers these platforms.
It's just crazy to me.
These websites exist in a perpetual state of dual nature. On the legal and reputational side, they're obligated to provide those sober warnings.
Sure.
They must tell you to do your own research to protect themselves from regulatory scrutiny and user backlash.
Right.
But on the commercial side, their actual survival, their ability to drive engagement, sell advertising space, and move color-morphing coffee mugs.
Yeah.
It relies entirely on cultivating a deeply emotional, highly tribal culture.
But how does selling a shirt that literally instructs people to never panic and always HODL, not completely undermine the disclaimer.
Well,
They are telling readers to treat this as a high-risk endeavor requiring objective analysis while actively selling them merchandise that promotes blind, unyielding loyalty to a financial asset regardless of market conditions.
Because the financial mechanics of a meme token fundamentally require people to act irrationally in order to survive.
Really?
Yes. If the broader community of retail investors acted completely rationally, if they objectively assessed risk and took profits at the first sign of a downturn,
The liquidity pools would drain instantly.
exactly, the project would die in hours.
Wow.
For the ecosystem to function, the developers and the media platforms surrounding them need the retail investors to fully internalize the Saiyan spirit. They need the community to believe that holding on to an asset through an 80% drawdown isn't a terrible, avoidable financial mistake, but rather an act of immense bravery and tribal loyalty.
The merchandise isn't just a passive side hustle to keep the website servers running.
Not at all.
That never panic mug is a behavioral conditioning tool.
Yes.
It actively reinforces the exact psychological state that the 20 whales need the retail investors to maintain so the whales don't lose their initial investment.
The merchandise is the mindset required to keep the synthetic floor intact.
That's wild.
It creates a closed loop where culture, community identity, and commercial survival are completely intertwined.
So what does this all mean? When you step back and look at the entire life cycle of the Goku token and the way platforms like Normie Crypto present it, it becomes glaringly obvious that the modern token ecosystem isn't actually about technological innovation. It's barely even about the blockchain itself.
The blockchain is merely the transparent ledger being used to keep score of a mass sociological experiment.
It is entirely an exercise in leveraging human psychology.
Yeah.
It's about utilizing coordinated social mechanics, like locking in a cartel of 20 major holders to create the illusion of safety,
Right.
and then wrapping that incredibly precarious financial structure in the comforting, emotionally resonant blanket of a childhood hero.
Exactly.
They are generating perceived financial value out of thin air by perfectly merging the mechanics of high-risk speculation with the blind diversion of digital fandom.
This raises an important question for you to consider as you navigate these increasingly complex digital spaces. We are witnessing the rapid financialization of culture in real time.
Yeah.
If the financial markets of the internet's future are going to increasingly rely on weaponizing our personal nostalgia to generate liquidity pools, what does that ultimately do to the legacy of the stories themselves?
Wow. That is dark.
Right. Years from now, when you look back at the heroes you grew up admiring, the characters who genuinely taught you about resilience, personal growth, and protecting the vulnerable, do you still see enduring symbols of hope? Or will your memory be clouded and you'll just see the ghost of another highly volatile asset waiting for the whales to liquidate?
It is a wild, slightly unsettling thought.
It really is.
We started this deep dive talking about building a skyscraper and how a structure of that size demands a foundation of solid, unyielding bedrock. But out on this new digital frontier, they are attempting to build multi-million-dollar economies on a foundation of our own childhood memories.
And nostalgia.
Exactly. And as we've learned today, depending entirely on who controls the token supply, those memories can be a remarkably shaky place to build.
Very true.
Keep questioning the foundation of what you invest your time and money into, and we will catch you on the next deep dive.